It's Monday, May 26, 2025. It's the 146th day of the year, and we've got some major weather patterns to talk about. Two big things to cover as we go forward. Honestly, more than that, but two main things. We're going to start off with the severe weather potential over the next couple of days. Today, there is an enhanced risk of severe weather in Texas and a slight risk in the yellow that goes around that over into Louisiana. But our biggest storms today are going to be possible over here near Abilene, down towards Kerrville, Rock Springs, Brownwood. What we're expecting today is the very real possibility of some very large hail. We've got a 30% hatched risk of damaging hail down here, especially around San Angelo, Fredericksburg, and Brownwood. This is where I think we could see baseball size hail or larger today. And then we also have a wind threat down here, so we could have some damaging winds in the red, but also in the yellow. And that goes all the way over to San Antonio, Austin. Later tonight, we could also see some damaging winds around Shreveport over towards Monroe. It looks like most of the action is going to be south of the DFW metro tonight, but we can't rule out an isolated tornado or two or a couple of damaging wind events even in the Dallas area. But that 2% tornado probability goes all the way over into Mississippi, so we might have a couple of tornado warnings today as those storms get going. We also have a very slight tornado probability over here in Texas tomorrow, as we have a slight risk of severe weather in Texas as we go into the day on Tuesday, and then some lingering wind events might be possible over here in Louisiana and Mississippi as we go later in the day on Tuesday as well. And then Wednesday, we're going to have a big marginal risk of severe weather that goes all the way over to the Carolinas. Now, here's what the radar could look like as we go into the day today. This is about 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. That's when we really are thinking that we're going to see some of these big storms pop up in central Texas. By 5 p.m., we will have multiple supercells producing, once again, potentially baseball size hail or larger, and some damaging winds out here in the middle of Texas. Some of those might reach up into the DFW region, but I really do think that San Angelo and areas west of Austin especially are going to be the hardest hit zones. But these storms are probably going to make it into Austin maybe around 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and they will still have a damaging wind threat by the time they get there. Also, look at all this peripheral stuff. We're going to have more storms forming in the OKC metro. We're going to have maybe some isolated severe storms tonight all along the Red River. We're also going to have some stuff firing up in Mississippi, Alabama, maybe even in Georgia and South Carolina this afternoon as well with the heating of the day. But most of the action is going to be with this complex of storms that's going to be out here in Texas that will hit Houston around midnight to 1 a.m. and likely bring some damaging winds as we go into the early morning hours tomorrow. So get ready for that. Once that's out of our hair, honestly, the big severe weather events are going to be for the most part over, but we are going to have more supercells forming near the Mexico border as we go into the day tomorrow. So we'll have to watch that, and there will be some isolated severe weather incidents over here along the East Coast as well. Now, a big thing that's going to come along with the severe weather is also the flooding. We had some crazy flooding last night and early this morning in Oklahoma, Texas, in portions of Arkansas. The heavy rain pattern is going to continue into today as we have this large slight risk of flash flooding and excessive rainfall that goes from San Angelo and San Antonio all the way up past Dallas into Little Rock, up there towards Memphis, and even into middle Tennessee today. We could see some pockets of heavier rain that lead to flash flooding. It doesn't stop today, though. We have 3 separate slight risks tomorrow, as we're going to have heavy rain in eastern Kentucky, southern Ohio, portions of West Virginia. A lot of the deep south is going to be dealing with heavy rain. And then, of course, back here where we have those supercells in Texas, we do have a slight risk, a 2 out of 4 risk of excessive rainfall out here for Austin, Texas. Over the next 7 days, we do expect that there's going to be a lot of rain down here in the deep south. So in Texas, specifically north and west of San Antonio, some places could end up with maybe over 6 inches of rain. A lot of people in the reds here and the oranges, we're talking about 2 to 4 inches of rain across a lot of eastern Texas. Most of the state of Louisiana could expect 2 to 4 inches of rain. And then down here in southern portions of Mississippi, we're expecting a lot of rain as well. And then there's going to be isolated pockets of heavier rain in Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and Kentucky also as we go through the next several days. And this will lead to isolated instances of flash flooding. So if you live in a flood-prone area, make sure you are heeding those warnings as they come out. And we're about to dive much deeper into that, but first, let's shout out today's awesome sponsor. Trade Coffee. Don't just need your coffee, love it. Y'all know we're constantly working late nights and coming in for early mornings here at the Weather House. There was a point here at the Weather House where everybody was just chasing that caffeine rush, grabbing overpriced energy drinks and making those endless coffee chain runs just to stay on top of things. But now, thanks to Trade Coffee, everyone is hooked on the new cold brew coffee that they've got, and we're saving a fortune while staying energized throughout those long work days. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the US, both for hot and cold coffee drinkers, and they've teamed up with 15 expert roasters to source the best beans specifically designed for cold brew. Just scoop the coffee, fill with water, and let it chill overnight. And check out what they sent us this month. All right, this is cold brew heavyweight champ Thunder Lips here. Absolutely smells incredible. Everything that they've sent us has been plumb wild. For a limited time, Trade Coffee is actually giving away a free Harry-O cold brewer when you sign up for a cold brew subscription by clicking the link in the description or going to drinktrade.com/y'all. Once again, that's drinktrade.com/y'all to get your free cold brew maker with select cold brew subscriptions. So it's right here. It's at the top of the description. We're hooking you up with an even better deal on top of the already good deal. You're going to love it. All right, let me know what you think about it down in the comments below, and let's get back into the video. So that's the near-term threat. That's the main threat that we're talking about over the next couple of days. And honestly, it's being driven by just some subtle little disturbances in the jet stream. There's no big major things happening that are catching my attention in the near term. But once we go deeper into the future, especially right as we get towards the end of May and as we flip over into June, that's where things start getting a little bit more intense. We start to see a very synoptically driven weather pattern where we've got this huge ridge building in the west, and also right next to that a huge trough developing in the east. So what this is going to do is this is going to bring temperatures down in the northeast, especially well below average for a lot of the eastern and even central portions of the United States, as we're going to have all this air kind of rushing out of Canada. And it's also going to send temperatures up, way up in the west, and we could be talking about actually some dangerous heat in California as a result of this major ridge that's going to be forming here. Take a look at these temperature anomalies. Okay, so starting off, we're definitely going to continue to be below average for May standards over the next couple of days along the eastern part of the United States. We're talking about 30 degrees below average in North Carolina and Virginia on the 27th. We're going to have widespread 10 to 20 degrees below average temperatures continuously from the central plains all the way over through the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley, mid-Atlantic regions for the foreseeable future. And especially as that trough digs down, that's not going to go anywhere. So we're going to continue to have below average temperatures through the beginning of June. I mean, I went outside this morning and it felt like almost like a late February morning. And that kind of feeling, especially in the morning and the overnight hours, those low temperatures being abnormally low for May, that's going to continue over here where you see the blues and the purples for the next several days. But notice what's happening over there in California, man. While we're getting below average, they're getting above average and significantly above average. Some places will be 20 to 30 degrees above average, and some places will even surpass that as we go into the first day of June. May 31st here, we could see temperatures exceeding 110 degrees in a lot of the central portion of California in the valleys here. So we're talking about 105 degrees widespread across even some very populated areas of California. And then there will be some places that exceed 110 degrees. So this is going to be dangerous heat. And then even down here in southwest New Mexico, extreme Southern California, we're going to be well over 100 degrees. So just a huge heat wave happening in the last couple of days of May and the first day of June. So make sure you're ready for that. That's going to be dangerous heat for a lot of people. And of course, the ridge is not going to persist forever. After that bulb of heat starts to move over the Rockies, it is going to persist, and it is going to bring some warmer temperatures in the central plains and eventually over to the East Coast. We're going to be having fun in the sun maybe by the time we get to June 3rd. But notice what happens here. We're seeing a big bowling ball trough dip down into California. So this is probably going to bring some stormy weather even into the West Coast. It's going to bring winds up across the Rockies in the Intermountain West, and then as that trough ejects over the Rockies and starts interacting with all of this heat that's building up from the Gulf and the eastern side of the U.S., we're going to have another severe weather outbreak sequence, it looks like. It's actually not very common that we see a big trough like this swinging over the Rockies in June, so we're definitely going to have tons of instability. We're going to have tons of moisture available here, so I would not be surprised at all if we saw a series of severe weather outbreaks, specifically in the June 3rd through, I would say, say June 7th time period, maybe even beyond that, maybe June 3rd through June 10th. Looks to actually be kind of busy here, and the severe weather threats will be displaced a little bit farther north, but yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on as we go forward. CPC Outlook shows that through 10 days from now, we're going to continue to see above average temperatures in the northwest, below average temperatures in the southeast, and that's just the pattern that we're going to be locked into for a little while. But once that ridge does propagate farther to the east, we are going to warm up in the Great Lakes and over there into the East Coast as well. So keep your eyes out for that. So that's pretty much all the weather talk I have for you today. Normally June is quiet, all right, but it looks like things are going to get plumb wild here as we have some major pattern changes on the way. So make sure you guys are ready for that. But in the meantime, things are at least going to be relatively quiet for the next couple of days. So maybe we can just enjoy that while it lasts. And I want to remind everyone that if you like some of the songs that we've been playing on the live streams, this is now on Spotify, Apple Music, and anywhere else that you listen to music. So if you want to stream Y'allbot, you can now. Just search up Y'allbot on Spotify or whatever else. And, you know, we've got hit songs such as Plum Wild, Clarksville Check-In, and the Tornado Sniffer, the Blip song. It's all on there. Let's try to get Y'allbot to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Guys, that's all the weather talk I have for you today. Super huge shout out to Trade Coffee for sponsoring this video. We will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Ooh.